Presented by Climate Power. America, let's do what we do best. Build. We have an opportunity to rebuild our economy, fight climate change, and create millions of jobs in the fastest growing industry in the country, clean energy. But we must grab this moment before it slips away. American workers are ready. Now, Congress, it's up to you. We can achieve our clean energy future if we act now.
Good morning, Pop Chasers, and happy Thursday, June 10th. I'm Allison, and I'm joined by Kate.
Hello.
Hello. And we are the hosts of Pop Chaser, a daily pop culture podcast brought to you by The Dip. We are going to talk about some of the biggest headlines today. Woo! We got some headlines to talk about, you guys. Where should we start, Kate?
Oh boy, I think we should start with the America's royal family.
Yes. So we're obviously not talking about Harry and Meghan, but we're talking about the first family, and that is, hold on, I can't find you, Kate. Where are you? There you are. I had another tab
You lost
open.
me?
I had another tab open and I was just clicking all the wrong applications, and I just heard your voice and I didn't see you. And I know, like,
It's like I was at the bottom of the well, just like being like, save me.
You were just a voice.
Just a voice from the ether.
So we're talking about the Kardashians, the first family of America. They are sitting down with Andy Cohen. So I love that, like, Harry and Meghan get Oprah and the Kardashians get Andy.
That's as it should be.
As it should be, 100%. But like, I just love that. And I get it's like in the NBC family and all, but I really I really appreciate that, that he is kind of getting the due that is deserved. I mean, look, he's rocking out on New Year's Eve with Anderson Cooper. So like, he's prepared.
He's also going from network to network. But can I say what I don't approve of with this?
Well, what are we're talking about? Yeah, we're talking about the reunion.
The reunion. I don't think we can call this a reunion when they're family members
when they're like together all the time
constantly. Like, I understand there's something called like a family reunion, like that is a thing, but like, this is not a normal TV reunion. This is with people that are together constantly. Like it is as if we did a Dip reunion between you and me.
But it is like a Keeping Up with the Kardashians reunion because they wrapped a while ago.
Yeah, but they still see each other all the time. So
that would be like if you and it's fair. Okay.
You're not going to have these fights that kind of come up. You're not going to have, like, what is standard for the Housewives reunion cannot possibly be standard for this. So it just it all seems kind of silly to me.
Well, it looks like Andy is going to be asking the hard-hitting questions, including, asking Chloe about, and he's going to say Chloe because that's how he always says it. About Tristan, asking one thing I found, and I think I've gone on record on this podcast, I believe. If not, I've gone on record in life, asking Scott and Courtney if they hadn't been like on camera or shared their relationship, if they would have like ended up together and making their relationship work. Courtney responds, probably, in the promo. So be still my heart.
But then it was probably the substance abuse that really did it.
Well, yeah, but then Scott owns it. I just like hate that he's dating Lisa Rinna's daughter. I just think that like they both know that when they are 50, they're going to be like, okay, we had our fun. It's always been you. Let's do this.
So you feel about Scott and Courtney the way I feel about Brad and Jen.
Well, I mean, I could also feel that way about Brad and Jen too, but yes, I do. I just like, for me, it's like I just think that they belong together. And I'm not saying that they don't have their flaws and their faults as a couple and as individuals. But I just really I really care about them so much. I'm glad that she's happy right now, and I'm glad that at least we have something to talk about Lisa Rinna's daughters on Beverly Hills this season.
That's true. But I do want to know, what was Kim referring to?
Putting her in the car.
Well, yes. So that I think that probably has something to do with, I don't know, actually. I
Paris?
can go back and forth. I was thinking maybe that, but then I was also thinking maybe it's like relating to the sex tape stuff, but then Andy asks her, like, do you think that like you should have apologized to him? And she says, absolutely. And I wonder, who is that him?
Who is that him?
Like, who has Kim Kardashian wronged? My only theory is Nick Lachey. Because we know that Kim and Nick Lachey, right after Nick Lachey's divorce from Jessica Simpson, went out on a date. And when he left the date, there was cameras everywhere, and he had no idea that they were going to be there. And it became a whole thing that Nick is dating this, Paris's friend, Kim Kardashian, because that's what she was at the time. And it was totally orchestrated by Kris Jenner, and it was crazy. And I think it affected Nick in a bad way. So that's the only one that I can think of that she really should apologize to.
Interesting.
Or
have I told you well, I was thinking Kris Humphries, but like, why are we apologizing to Kris Humphries? Maybe because, you know what, I wonder if it's like leading up to the wedding. God, I can't believe like we can't have a reunion for 20 years of a TV show. Like,
and only have it be like 1 hour long. Like, if we're gonna be like, again, we shouldn't call it a reunion. We should call it 3
parts for
Keeping Up with the Kardashian. Let's talk about the last 20 years. That's what it should be called, not a reunion. Let's talk about the last 20 years.
Okay.
And then it needs to be more than one episode. That's for sure.
I wonder if it's like him asking, like, did you know you shouldn't? Like, it's like these questions seem so silly because they were so long ago. But like, did you know you shouldn't have married him? And if she, is like, yeah, I knew it. And like, do you think you owe him an apology? Absolutely.
Can you imagine if you are 29 years old now, 28, 29, whatever.
29.
You're 29. Can you imagine if you had to answer questions
about when I was like,
when you were 9?
Yeah, that's what's so crazy. I mean, I hope to God we get like Kylie and Kendall talking about like their pole dancing in like season 1.
Like, that would just be so bananas. Like, you would have no recollection of what even to talk about. Like,
no.
Remember your 9th birthday, Allison, when you got
I mean, it's different because my
Beanie Baby.
My birthday wasn't immortalized on television.
True, but do you think they go back and watch it?
I would love to know if they watch the show.
I bet they feel like they do. But now, I don't know. I feel like after a while, you're kind of like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, you can only see so much of yourself, and they're everywhere. So
they are everywhere. Have I told you my I think I must have told it on the podcast already, my Dorinda Medley's boyfriend, John, what he told me about him and dating Kim Kardashian?
No.
I don't know if this is like the right place for me to tell it, but I think I can, right?
I mean,
he's not going to hear this. So they're not together anymore, and I only care about Dorinda in this relationship. So basically I went to one of Dorinda's holiday parties. It was like a press event, and John was there, and he came up and was telling us, and this is when they were together, and he was telling us that like at one point he was approached to date Kim Kardashian because she needed to date, quote, a nice Armenian man after the sex tape came out. And John is Armenian.
What I hate to say this, what did he look like back then?
Can't confirm or deny that he looked different, but I just remember standing there and I was utterly shocked. I mean, my jaw was on the ground. That I was like, first of all, I can't believe I'm talking to John, the Sultan of Stains.
Was he just trying to like put that out in the universe to make it true? Like, what was
I think what it is I think that, I think John was and maybe always has been a bit of a clout chaser.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think we saw that on the show. And I think that, that was him trying to kind of sound cool. But he told us that his dad told him, you can't date her. As if like she was the one with like, she was the one punching up in that relationship.
I'm trying to find young photos of this man, and everything that I'm seeing that looks old, it might as well have been taken yesterday. He has not changed, by the way, in years.
Well,
yeah, I can't tell any difference.
I think that regardless, He gave me his business card.
I mean, okay, I
still
did
have it.
find his yearbook photo.
Oh,
And he looked okay. He looked okay. He was
Well-
okay. But this is like when he's like 18 or something. Like, you know, it's been, I don't think when he met Kim Kardashian, he was this young.
well, no, I don't think so either. I don't know if they even ever met. But anyway, this whole little side story was because of Nick Lachey. I wonder if like he's the one that got swapped in. Can you imagine John Medesian on Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
I mean, he'd probably thrive in that environment.
Anyway, so I am looking forward to it. I do want to just note that Dave Quinn had a really funny tweet that I loved. He used Housewives logic for like the reunions to kind of figure out where people stood, especially as they're seated alongside Andy. So you've got Kim and Chris splitting the middle with Andy. Then next to Chris on the couch is Khloe, then Kylie, and then all of their side views look exactly the same.
I was noticing that all of their lips pucker in the exact same way.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they all get them from the same person.
Wouldn't you
No
want
shame.
to mix it up? Like, wouldn't you want to go to somebody for different work than the rest of your family? Because like you kind of want to like, you know, you don't want to like be like too much like everybody else.
Yeah.
To stand out a little.
Well, I will say the people on the outskirts are Kylie and Kendall. No shock there, but doesn't, as Dave says, doesn't bode well for them for next season, for the Hulu show to come. So hopefully they can lock in. They got to come with the drama. I'm sorry, Kendall, you got to talk about the Pepsi ad. Got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So that's Kardashians. Really, I am looking forward to that. Another thing that happened yesterday.
So then another piece of news that we got, it's not the most surprising news. I think we kind of saw this starting to come to fruition, but we found out that officially Mario Cantone, David Eigenberg, Willie Garson, and Evan Handler are all coming back to the Sex and the City reboot. So in case those it's been a long time since you've watched it, Mario Cantone is Charlotte's wedding planner. David Eigenberg is Steve, Willie Garson is Stanford, and Evan Handler is Harry. So this follows like a whole brouhaha a few months ago.
I'm so annoyed by the brouhaha.
I know, in which like it was sort of confirmed, quote unquote, that they weren't coming back.
Yeah,
or that
none
they
of them.
wouldn't. Yeah.
No, they all are.
And now we just realized that what we were just watching was a big contract negotiation happening before our eyes. And of course, they're coming back, which basically means that all of the significant others will be there, but still, of course, has a question mark as to will they still be together? How much are they going to factor into the plot and that whole thing? Like we know Big is probably going to be dead. We've already
will be killed off.
But the rest of them, I feel like they aren't going anywhere. If they ruin Harry,
if they touch
Harry, ruin Steve, it will be.
They won't.
Gloves off.
Yeah, we're done. We're not even talking about it then. I don't think they will. At this point, Rose and Lily got to be like 57, right?
Well, they were born in what? The show ended in the early 2000s, right? And so they are probably, I mean, Brady
is 18.
Yeah, so they're probably like 15 or something like that. So they are bona fide teenagers.
That's crazy.
Which would be fun to explore. I don't mind like a second generation once they're past like the age of like 10, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I will say that I feel like what could have happened with all of this is like the teams behind these actors were like, let's just like start the rumor that they're not going to be on the show.
Yeah.
While they were negotiating to get a higher, number on that check for them to come, because people are like, you got to have Harry. How can you not have Harry? Or I'm not watching if Big isn't on. And then ka-ching, ka-ching, if people react like that, they're suddenly worth more. So that's just a theory, but I could see that definitely being maybe something that could have happened here. Because
I for one feel
like
played.
we were. Yeah, I was just gonna say, it just feels like we were played for all of this. So I'm just trying to think of the business side of it, and I have a feeling that, you know what, not gonna make a fool out of me. I will not be played the fool.
We cannot trust any casting news that comes out about this show.
No, seriously, I won't
And-
believe anyone is in it until
don't.
I have my peepers on that static sound from HBO.
We might be just watching a blank white screen for 2 hours or whatever, how long it's going to be, how many episodes. Like, for all we know, there could be nobody in this.
I was thinking about that episode wise. I don't know why, but for some reason I keep thinking of it as like a year in the life Gilmore Girls style, but it's actually going to be a show. And
I don't think we know the episode count yet.
I know, but I just kind of
be
feel
like a year in a life where it's 4 episodes long. We don't know.
And just like that. I
And
hate
just
both
like
of
that.
those titles.
Yeah, me too, especially because it's always stylized with ellipses. And so like
I know. Why? Why? Do you know people have to write that when they're covering your show?
I always think that. I always think that when people like, especially there's some TV shows in the past that have had like Arliss had like
What
a
is it?
dollar. Arliss. I'm sorry, I have a cut on my tongue. And so if I'm being like quieter than usual or like sounding weird, it's because I have a cut in my tongue and it hurts to talk every time I talk.
I'm going to be
but-
honest, you don't sound weird at all, but
I don't sound weird at all.
I don't hear it.
Oh, wow. So if this is what I really sound like, then that's a problem. That is a problem. No, the show is Arliss, and it's a lot of S's for me to make right now.
Yeah,
It
that's
hurts.
tough for you.
What
What channel?
I don't remember. What was it? Did you just
I
look
don't
it up
know.
and it has S's in it? Oh, I
I
was
don't know.
like,
I'm
"We're
hoping
trying-"
it was like Showtime or Stars.
I think it
but
was HBO or something like that.
Okay.
It might have been Showtime.
I've never
but
heard of it.
It has like a dollar sign in the thing, and so you always had things like that were styled like that. Where when you were a journalist writing about it, you had to style it properly, and it just was like, God damn it!
Right, but you can't always style it properly because people, they're like the headline is not styled, but then in the story it is. It's a nightmare.
It's
So
a
just
total
stop.
nightmare. So yeah,
Just stop.
Hollywood, please.
And
spare us.
also, don't make
Spare
any
everyone.
movies called It because that also sucks.
No one can ever find
How
information
scary
about
is
your
it?
movie.
How scary is it? That's the headline.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I mean, it's so funny because we're like talking about Sex and the City. We still have like a year.
I know. We always talk about how we have so much time left, but you know what? I will never stop talking about it. I love it.
No,
I
we won't.
can't wait. And I can't wait for another excuse to rewatch it in this quarantine. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, no, in this soon to be over quarantine. But it's still just like, oh, it just makes me want to like live. I just love the show so much. I can't wait.
And I love that for you. Well, I think that's about it. One thing I will note is Stranger Things 4 is coming. The more like I don't know when. We don't
There's
know
gonna be
when.
one day when we're like, there's too much to talk about. And today is not that day.
No, but I do want
There
to just
will
say
be a day
something.
when Sex and the City, Stranger Things are all back and there's actually things to talk about.
I know, but like one thing I was thinking about though is so the reason I bring Stranger Things up is because they just announced that there's like even more new characters. So before this, they already announced 8 new characters. Now they just announced another 4 new characters. Plus, Maya Hawke's character Robin is getting a spin-off podcast? Well, we love podcasts though. I totally forgot we were recording one right now.
Guest podcast, yay! I mean, plus that's just marketing. That's just like
It's just more content for
Yeah.
But my point of bringing it up is I realized as I was reading the character descriptions for these new characters is everybody is like going to be 15, 16 in this show, and it just made me feel so freaking old. This show came out in 2016, Kate,
Mhm.
and now they're like getting their. I'm sorry. Can you picture little Will Byers driving a car?
I mean, this is just how time works, Allison.
I don't accept that. I don't accept time.
I know it's hard to embrace that.
I'm a time truther.
But this is inevitably what we're headed for, you know?
Yeah.
You also were once 15 years old.
Yes, but like, yeah, actually, wow. I was just gonna say that was just a couple years ago, but it was not.
It was not just a couple years ago.
It was one Will Byer ago. So I think we should probably move on to our dip dive of the day.
Yeah. So tell me, I feel like I'm waiting for this. Allison queued this up and said she had a really big deep dive, but it's really depressing.
It's depressing.
And it's been a week of depressing deep dives, I know. And I just want to
turn it around.
Tomorrow I've got a really fun one. And it does involve death and murder, but it's really fun. But now let's talk about yours instead.
So I was on TikTok yesterday, and I need to just say, like, when I was Will Byers' age, I was not like that involved. The only thing I was involved in was Jean-Benet Ramsey and her Beanie Baby and the People magazine covers at the grocery store that were always at the checkout. That's all I knew about crime, as like true crime. I watched a lot of CSI. CSI? Is that it? CSI?
Yes, CSI.
It sounds so weird when I just said it because I'm also watching NCIS. So, but I watched a lot of like TV, but I never really was like aware of the actual national news. So I was on TikTok yesterday and it was like one of those stupid, like, what's one phone call that you got that changed your life? And the girl goes, oh, when, and like this girl like duets it. If you guys are on TikTok, you know what that means. Or maybe Stitch, excuse me. And she says like, oh, well, one day I was at home and we got a call and it was the police officer saying, we have your daughter. And they were like, she was like, my daughter's here. And she goes, no, we have JC. And it was JC Dugard. And it was her sister who made the TikTok. So then I went on a deep, deep rabbit hole of JC Dugard, down to watching the Diane Sawyer interviews for like hours. And I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with this case, she was kidnapped at 11, held captive. I don't want to compare it to the movie/book Room, but like I think just for the sake of not needing to go through the entire thing, it's very similar in that she was held captive by this man who has 431 years to life in jail right now. 431 years. She was raped. She had 2 kids while she was being held captive for 18 years. The way that she was able to be free was he took her daughters and they went to a college where he was, I mean, this man was obviously incredibly unstable and dangerous. And he went to a college and went to like an admissions office or some type of a counselor's office to try to give a speech. And he brought the daughters and they were like, they looked not well. I mean, JC was kept in like behind in like a
it's all
garage.
underground, so you also like, or
well,
like,
they weren't underground, but they were in the backyard and
away
like
from the sun, away from,
never saw the sun. I mean, they were like very like pale and what's the word?
Wan?
What?
Wan?
Wan?
That's what it means when
Like
you're like
name?
pale and you're like skinny and pale.
Oh, I was thinking like sallow.
Sallow works too. Yeah.
Okay. What's the word you said? Wan?
Wan. Yeah. It means you're pale and giving an impression of illness or exhaustion.
So they were wan.
Did you say the name? Like I said.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying. So that's why I just got confused. My whole point is basically that's what it came to fruition from, like, they called his parole officer. It all came out. She was released after 18 years. And I just need to encourage everybody to like just go through a deep dive. And this woman's outlook on life is incredible. I think she's like 44 now. Her daughters are in their 20s. And I mean, just her story is horrifying and like incredible at the same time because of just the resilience that she had and the way she approaches life. I ordered her book on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
The Silent Life. And I think that's what it's called, The Silent Life. And I just really encourage people watching like the Diane Sawyer interviews too, because like you kind of get, you just, if it, you know, I don't want to imagine, like, if I don't even want to imagine how I would be, but like the way she approaches life is just really incredible. So it
reminds me of people that like go to, you know, jail and they're innocent or whatever, and then they get out after, you know, however many years or whatever, and a lot of them tend to have an attitude that is much more forgiving, and I shouldn't say forgiving, I should say optimistic, and that you'd expect. Like you would think that if you were somebody who was held captive for 18 years, you would resent so much about your life and the time that you've lost. And I've seen the interviews with her and the and stuff and her talking about it, and she's just, I think when you said resilient, that's the best word to describe it. Like just so resilient to the point of it being just inspiring and helping you realize that like no matter how bad things might seem for you on any given day, like you can get past it if she can get past this, you know?
And it's really interesting too. I think, for the record, her book is called A Stolen Life, not A Silent Life. I apologize. I mean, the amount of times that she could have been rescued by the authorities is shocking, and the amount of times that they failed to rescue. So, I mean, they were at this man's house many times. Neighbors saw her many times, and not one person put it together. So, I mean, there's one man who claims that he actually saw her at a gas station looking at a missing poster of herself, and they never like were able to put it together. So it's a fascinating story. And
I also wonder what it's like to be the neighbors of people like this. When you're
I was thinking that same thing.
God, like you don't, because so often you'll sometimes like, you know, I've grown up in like suburbs and areas where I have neighbors, and I'm kind of like, oh, that guy's a little weird or whatever. But like, you're like, no, I'm in the wrong for thinking that or whatever. So when you find out stuff like that, like I also thought about this with like the Golden State Killer case too. It's like, what do you think when you were living next door to somebody who is like actively dangerous, and also if it's somebody who is keeping somebody hostage?
Yeah.
Like the guilt that I would feel would be so intense.
Yes. I mean, I think that also like the books that I love to read, like these thriller books, have taught me to like become very paranoid of everyone, and then also like to not trust my paranoia. So I think that I can't imagine how I would react in that. I would probably try to solve the case myself, you know, like,
oh yeah,
I would become like Harriet the spy and like start investigating a crime or something with no right to do that. But anyway, that was my deep dive. Not a very happy one, but it ended very happy. The people are in prison that abducted her. She seems to be living a very positive life now. But yeah, I mean, 18 years. So you want to talk about time. I mean, what is that? What is time? What is time?
That is a whole almost 11. Isn't she 18 now? Millie Bobby Brown?
Oh my God, is she 18? Are you serious?
I might be exaggerating
that,
but I feel like she's,
oh my God.
I feel like she's close, but she was born in 2000. She's 17. Yeah. So she's almost 18.
God, I can't believe it. I mean, I can. I hate it. You know, what's so funny is like when I was younger, I was always just like, I can't wait to get older. And I remember watching like interviews with celebrities they were like with David Letterman, and they were like, I'm 23, and he'd make some joke and I'd be like, wow, they are so old and mature. And then I was 23 and I was like, I don't know shit.
The thing that I find funny is when I watch things on TV, like even I can be watching a lot of shows right now, right? So if I watch like, let's say like Arrested Development, right? And we're watching that now. And Jason Bateman was like 34 when he did Arrested Development or something. And I look at him and I'm still like,
he's older than me.
This man is older than me, even though like I'm actually older than him than he was in that show. It's just weird. Like mentally, the people that I always saw as older than me when they were actually older than me, I will always see as older than me, even when they're younger than me.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It did make sense. It did. I think that's a good note to end on. If you've ever felt older while being younger or younger while being older,
if you fear the passage of time,
if the passage of time keeps you up at night, hit us up on thedip.com. You can comment away, you can read all of our fantastic articles, and you can communicate with us there. You can use the code POPCHASER for a 50% off a 50% off discount on your annual subscription. Put that under promo codes POPCHASER. And you can also check out our other podcast, TV Watch Repeat, which is where we do a deep dive into the best TV pilots of all time. On Monday, we have The Mindy Project. Is that right, Kate?
That's correct.
One of my favorite shows of all time. And I was just tickled pulling the clips for Kate to add into the episode. So I hope everyone else enjoys it as much as I did. I think I ended up sending you a full episode's worth of audio clips. And so if you want to just listen to the Mindy Project pilot spliced for over the course of like 15 minutes, you could probably get that. So check it out it drops on Monday on TV Watch Repeat. And then you can check out our other podcasts too, the Slut Pig podcast with Christian Gray Snow and Hot Off the Mess with Samantha Bush, aka Bravo Historian. And we will be back tomorrow with some more headlines. We'll see what they are. And Kate will have a really fun deep dive.
Oh yeah.
It's the days of Darius.
It still
missing,
involves murder. I just need to
boy.
warn you, but it is a fun one. I promise it is a fun one. I am excited to tell you about it.
I can't wait. And we will all be on pins and needles until tomorrow. But until then,
cheers.
Presented by Climate Power. America, let's do what we do best. Build. We have an opportunity to rebuild our economy, fight climate change, and create millions of jobs in the fastest growing industry in the country, clean energy. But we must grab this moment before it slips away. American workers are ready. Now, Congress, it's up to you. We can achieve our clean energy future if we act now.
Leverage Redemption comes to IMDb TV, and the con is on and more exciting than ever. The team reunites as they take justice into their own hands, not to mention adding a few new exciting recruits. For this crew, the stealing is mutual. There's no shortage of bad guys, and the con game has only gotten more complicated. Don't miss out on the action-packed heist and discover why crime is fun when you're the good guys. Leverage Redemption, now streaming free on IMDb TV. IMDb TV is available on Fire TV, Roku, or anywhere Prime Video is available.